Hello everybody, Lurgs here, welcome to my channel, and today it's how to replace the battery on a Casio digital watch. This is for the Casio W-753, but it should also be exactly the same procedure for lots of other Casio digital watches. So stick around even if this isn't your exact model. And I need this watch because I take it out surfing and it gives me tide times and I can work out how long I've got left on the parking. So we need to replace the battery in this. Make sure you have a lovely cup of tea before, after or during. Now I've just got this watch repair kit which has got lots of different types of tools in it, but I actually ended up using a tiny little screwdriver that I got out of a Christmas cracker a few years ago. Take your miniature screwdriver. Make sure it's a really good fit because you don't want to start damaging the head on the screw. And then just start undoing all 4 screws. Whilst I'm doing that, there's a link above now about how to keep your washing machine hygienically fresh. It's definitely worth running that program about every 30 washing cycles. Okay, that's the first screw removed. Now let's remove the other 3 and I'll just speed this footage up. Now I've got reasonable sized sausage fingers, so working with these tiny screws and this tiny watch is quite hard work. Just remove the back off gently, put that down somewhere safe. Now I've highlighted this here, this is the rubber seal / gasket. Try not to turn the watch upside down because this gasket can fall out. If it does, just make sure you put it back in properly, and this helps keep the watch waterproof. Now we just need to remove this plastic sticker here, just stops it shorting out on the back of the watch. Again, put that somewhere safe, that needs to go back in exactly the same position. And there is the watch battery there. It's a CR2025, 3 volts. Now the easiest way to get access to this is just take your strap and just do it up backwards, just so it's easier to remove the battery. Now you notice there that the watch has actually come back on, it's probably because I've fiddled with the battery slightly, but it still does need replacing because I've had this watch for over 10 years and it's never had the battery replaced. Now what you need to do is take a needle or a really small fine point and you're just sticking it in a hole in this point here and then just manoeuvring it and trying to wedge it outwards. So you're kind of trying to pop it outwards. There we go. Now you can just slide the battery out. Be careful underneath this because you've just got a small plastic washer here. Make sure you put that back in. I'm just going to slide that back in there. Whilst I'm doing that, there's a link above now about what to do if your dishwasher is not draining water. Right, that plastic washer's back in. Now what we need to do is take your brand new CR2025 battery. Make sure you definitely get a good quality one. There's no point in buying a cheap one from one of these cheapo places where the batteries are almost out of date when you first buy them. Now what you do is you literally just slide that underneath. Once that's in position, then just take your sausage thumb and just push it down until it clips back in. What do you call a judge with no thumbs? Justice fingers. That's my one joke for the day. I'm not going to make it as a comedian. Right. Remember to put the sticker back on. This has to go in exactly the same position. So you've got those 2 little indentations at the side, about 5 o'clock there, which it needs to cover. Just push that back on. That's all looking good. The watch is fired up. I'm just checking the rubber gasket there, making sure it hasn't moved, and that all looks good. Now let's put the back on. Whilst I'm doing that, there's a link above now about how to test your car battery using a multimeter. In these times of lockdown, when you're not using your car much, it's definitely worth checking your battery quite often. Now take one of your screws. These are very, very small, so I'm having real problems here with my sausage fingers. And I've had to put my glasses on. Just line that up. Now if this doesn't feel like it's going onto the thread, don't force it because they're tiny little screws. You do not want to damage the thread. So make sure it goes in nice and smooth. And don't just do one up really, really tight before you do the others. Put them all in slowly and then tighten them up as if you were doing a car wheel. Just do opposites and just gently do them up on each corner so it goes down nice and uniform all the way around. Whilst I'm doing that, there's a link above now about how to disconnect a washing machine in case you're getting ready to install a brand new one. So tighten those up really nice and tight as you can get them. Now I can't guarantee that your watch will still be waterproof to 100 meters, but it should still be waterproof. And we'll find out if mine is at the end of this video. And now I just need to set the time and the tide graphs and the moon phases. And this is the instruction booklet here. I won't go through all this with you. And I'm going to set the date and time, the tide graphs and the moon phases and then test it out in the water. Just taking my watch out surfing. This will be a good test. Right, let's go. This will be a good test because it takes a right hammering. We'll get him when he comes back in. He's not coming back. And this is after the surf session. And my watch is still working. Absolutely fabulous. I am well pleased with that. Great stuff. Great stuff. If you found that video useful, please subscribe by pressing this button down here so you don't miss more videos on how to save you time and money. There's also some other videos around the edges of the screen here. If any of those are useful to you, then you can select those now. Thank you for visiting my channel, everyone. I really, really appreciate it.